We are concerned with what's happening now in humanity, and we've been caught by our weakness, our most vulnerable place, which is health. And we need to clarify what's happening, because we're in the 21st century, and there's supposed to be all illness have solutions and be healed. And I have to say that we haven't taken care of our understanding our body. We have been dependent for everything on medicines, on doctors. I have been teaching self-healing for a very long time, as some people know me, but it's really something very important that we have to recover the knowledge of our body, the knowledge of understanding what's happening to us, not asking somebody to heal us. And on top, we go to hospitals and doctors, and we don't even ask what's wrong. We don't seem to want to know. So we were caught in our most vulnerable situation.
Actually, they don't tell us everything. They just tell us whatever they see fit to tell us. That's another problem.
But we have to ask, and
Yeah.
we will get it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to research a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you have to talk a little
Yeah.
bit their language. Because they don't take into account that we have to direct our healing with our mind. That if we are there not knowing what they're doing to us, and we feel like guinea pigs, we have much less capacity of the natural healing system, which is there always, has always been there, and we have been surviving amazing things because we are so adaptable. Our brain is adaptable, and we are adaptable. And that's one of the reasons where we will win, because we are going to be even more adaptable. So in this case, what about the natural healing abilities? Where are they? With so many medicines, we have actually diminished them. I actually had to take a lot of antibiotics when I was sick with leukemia, but I already was not taking, not even a painkiller. I don't even, and no antibiotics. I saved myself taking antibiotic at one moment. I decided, maybe now I have to take antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the natural healing system that we have? I can say one thing, Elizabeth's going to tell you other things, but I can say it from my side and from my research. Enthusiasm. Situations in our life totally bring it down, but enthusiasm, because of knowing what gives you the voice has of all the colors, of all the notes, of all the vibrations, and you are putting attention to all your organism and to all your organs and body functions. So enthusiasm and talking with intention is something really that helps bring the immune system up. Of course, good vibrations, positive, and everything else. But apart from that psychological part, there is the brain listens to signals, and from those signals it actually tells what to do. And we know that when we have a cut, it heals, and a lot more that we can recover. But what is your side of that?
Well, the body is self-regulating, so it has a certain intelligence to it. So that's one of the things that's built in.
And it just, we are nulling it by so much medicines, antibiotics, and
Oh,
vaccines.
Yeah, and doctors, a good doctor will tell you that they just assist in the healing process. They don't do the healing. The body does the healing.
The only thing that has no healing, or we will go through it too, is a social psychosis or global psychosis, how it's happening now. Because the mind, and this you can be explained from quantum physics, how the mind can do everything, and you can have what is called placebo, which everybody knows about placebo. And some people believe it's something, some people might believe it's a fantasy, but placebo is real. But now we can enter into nocebo, which people don't know that nocebo is you can actually create an illness. You can actually, if they tell you that you're going to die, you might die, for sure.
Oh, that's hypochondria too, yeah. And that's self-suggestion, auto-suggestion. And there was one instance where there was a hypochondriac that was a very good hypnosis subject. And they basically told him exactly what symptoms to expect with each disease. And then they put him under. And then they said, okay, so now you have a hepatic disease and a liver disease. It's suddenly turned jaundiced.
Yeah.
And then after that, they told him to that he doesn't have that anymore. The skin clears up within seconds. And then after that, they started telling him other things. And then he would cycle through all these. And then they showed him the footage afterwards. He said, this isn't possible. I mean, I can't imagine this. And he said, yeah, this is the power of autosuggestion. You can make yourself... Hypochondriacs do that all the time, because the autosuggestion basically is telling the autonomic systems to do something. And that's what they do. They're basically instructed to do that.
Yeah. But also you have the schizophrenics that in one side they develop diabetes, and on the other side they don't have diabetes.
Oh, right,
These
right.
things have been actually proven.
Yeah, the schizophrenics are like that too, or if they have MPDs, multiple personality disorder. And so one personality will be nearsighted, they'll have to have glasses, the other side is perfect vision. So, I mean, you can see that. And things that are purely, you would think is purely autonomic, but the body will conform to that pattern that it's instructed to do. So, that's another problem as well. So
that's the problem with global psychosis that's happening now. Fear that brings down your immune system, and we need to be happy and bring it up and be more outdoors, that the light brings up the immune system. This is all known.
Right.
It's nothing new, but people forgot it.
Oh, and then there's the instance of, there was, actually this happened more than once, that they diagnosed someone with cancer, that they would die in 6 months. It was a misdiagnosis. They didn't have cancer. They still died within 6 months.
So it's about time we know about the powers of the mind. And that is what's happening now, but it's used in a negative way. So we have to remember, recover all of these abilities, because when we'll enter at the end the fourth dimension, which we're entering about time, we can actually regenerate the tail like the lizards do. That's about time, going back in time.
Or fingers or anything else, yeah.
So, you know, why do the lizards have that ability and we don't? We lost it. So, we lost it somewhere, we don't know when. But we can recover it, and that's what new medicine is about.
You know, Bob Beck in the BIOelectric, Robert Becker, he actually put little microelectrodes in lizards and compared the regenerative abilities electrically with what's happening in the body. And he noticed that when the bone fractures in humans healed the fastest, that was when there was the highest concentration of energy in that area. Without energy, there's no healing. So then you get to energy healing. Because with no energy, there isn't any energy to heal the injury. So that's another thing. And people that are in low energy, they take the longest to heal, the old, the infirm. And people with confirm and people with comorbidities take the longest to heal because they're in the lowest energy.
And that's what we're going to be talking about. The medicine of the future is energetic medicine. And in energetic medicine, we take into account the emotions, because the emotions is what give you most or take most energy from you. So those have been washed out of medicine, the medicine of pharmaceutical, of pills, of chemistry. That emotions, even the race chemistry of the emotions, which they know somewhat, some things, and there is a lot of drugs that actually make you zombie. So
lower your energy levels too, and some of them are neurotoxic, some are hepatotoxic, especially some of the like Lipitor. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on that one. But yeah, and then there's some others that are basically poisons or controlled poisoning the body.
yeah, and look how much poison we were able to take.
Yeah.
And how much poison I know for myself, because if I had radon toxicity, and then I had loads of antibiotics and loads of chemotherapy. And I have to know that before that I was in self-healing, but then they caught me on my ego, said, now how can you do self-healing on this, leukemia? And I didn't find what there is now, which is with light. I knew there was, but I couldn't find it then. And it's with putting ultraviolet, the blood through ultraviolet light from your own blood, passing it through ultraviolet into your body again, and it gives a really big boost of the immune system to begin with, apart from cleaning through the ultraviolet different things and giving strength. And even though it's half a liter of blood that passes through this little bulb of ultraviolet, is enough to give a boost for the other. So they are healing all kinds of blood cancers, like leukemia, like I had, or HIV, and also hepatitis, because things that are actually for liver cancer, that would be too, because the blood goes through the liver.
Yeah.
So for that is solution, and that is called a blood UV irradiation.
Yeah.
That I knew it was, and I couldn't find it, so I had to accept chemo, because with leukemia you have 15 days to decide. You cannot be.
It goes fast.
You can go really fast. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about my story, because I am an experimental miracle. It's because of myself, and as well because I've changed DNA and compatible bone marrow transplant.
Blood passes through a special tubing through a special chamber. Blood cells themselves take on special qualities, and their immune abilities are increased, and they become like little Pac-Men that go around the body and help the body destroy germs. Well, think of everything that can be solved with this process. I mean, we use it in our office all the time for the common cold. It's great for combating viruses. It's great for combating influenza, combats hepatitis, combats all of the viral infections. Lyme disease is treated. Valley fever is treated. Chronic hepatitis is treated. And just when the body needs even a special antioxidant, lowering the level of germs in the body is a great advantage, so that the immune system can do its other things and help protect the body. Now, what we usually do after we do the 50 cc's of blood exchange, and it's the patient's own blood, and it's only out of their body for several minutes, and it goes right back in. It's not exposed to the air. It's not exposed to any contaminating substances, and the entire procedure is totally sterile. After we do this blood exchange, we then attach one of our IVs, and the most common one we attach is vitamin C. Most people don't know this, but vitamin C, when it gets intracellular, metabolizes to hydrogen peroxide. Some people actually use hydrogen peroxide IVs, but very high-dose vitamin C achieves the same purpose and gets the patient through the process.
Physics of health is the next step for the 21st century, which actually is not as complicated, even though it's totally new for all the doctors, because when you talk about light and sound and plasma and magnets, they're totally lost, And emotions, they're totally lost. So they only know about chemistry and food and
genetics.
habits of foods, and genetics. So
about genetics, there's an interesting part about that one where
Yes, we can recreate anything we want with genetic therapy, with genetic manipulation. We can play to be God. And people don't know where science has come to, that microorganisms can be do for anything we need, that we can actually put whatever substance a person needs to heal themselves. No, that's what's happening. How much of that is solution at this moment?
Well, one of the things about symbiotic bacteria and some of the ones that are normally inside the human body and in the bloodstream, a Staphylococcus bacteria being one of them, is that we have that inside the blood anyway in low levels. And they can be programmed to do pretty much anything. Right now, according to a friend of mine, there are bacteria making literally thousands of liters of insulin right now. I mean, they're manufacturing it.
So they can,
They-
the diabetes is no longer a problem.
Right. They're like little chemical factories. But they don't want to administer that to people with diabetes because they want to make the drug in their vats and then sell it.
Of course.
So, okay. So it can make any drug you want. So you can program it to do anything. It can make opioids. Well, that would mean, people would be doped up all the time. And then it just makes it inside the bloodstream all the time in a continuous basis. You don't have to dose them again. But once it gets inside the body, it begins to multiply. And when it starts to multiply, it starts to put that drug out that it's programmed to make. And then it just makes it inside the bloodstream all the time in a continuous basis. You don't have to dose them again.
Microorganisms. Whatever you need insulin, they put microorganisms that will create insulin.
Yeah.
You want to need myelin because you have MS, multiple sclerosis, they will create myelin. So it can be personalized to you specific. My God, everything's solution at this moment, all illness then. We can do even myelin and heal multiple sclerosis and all these other degenerative diseases. And what about stem cells?
Again, Robert Becker was doing a study on bone fractures, and everybody noticed that the red cell count will go down during a bone fracture, but they didn't know. They thought it was just an internal bleed. But then they found out that the red cells were actually de-differentiating back into stem cells, and then re-differentiating back into bone cells, and that's how the fractures were healing. Okay, now we got a problem because the red blood cells have no nucleus to them. If you look at them, they're kind of like these little red tires that are kind of
Like
hollow.
donuts, no?
They're like donuts. They have no nucleus. Okay, no nucleus means no genetics. How did they regrow the genetics? I mean, how did they know how to regrow a nucleus? Because that is supposed to be the blueprint. Well, that means that it's actually getting that from the local energy field of the body. It's getting that pattern from the local energy field of the body.
So we're talking about energy field, we're talking about aura,
Right,
invisible
right.
aura around us,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
So-
the fastest that moves through the meridian. So acupuncture meridians are also part of energetic medicine.
Right. Now, another theory was that, okay, well, that probably means that there's some kind of latent energy field in the red blood cells. So they took some blood from someone else who was a compatible donor, put it in somebody else with a broken leg, and checked the stem cells out. The stem cells were their stem cells. That means that they took blood from somebody else,
Oh,
and it actually went in their body, and then it read the energy field of that body. So, oh, well, I'm in a different body now. So I have to conform to that energy field and make the stem cell nucleus for that one.
very interesting. I didn't,
Yeah.
you didn't tell me that one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we could talk about stem cells. How everything is cancer solution with stem cells. You just take a piece of skin of whatever part of the body. I guess they will know which one maybe is best because the stem cells are mostly produced inside the bone and in the sternum. That's where they would get it out for me. And in the iliacs, which are very big, flat bones. And they also, how they take the stem cells is just putting them through a machine and centrifugate them, how they take it for a transplant, centrifugate them, and then whatever is left there, because they weigh more, is what they use, and they put the blood on the donor. Again, their own blood is going circulating through the centrifugator. But with stem cells, you don't even need to do that process, which was what done to my donor. You just get it from the skin, get the stem cells, and they specialize this for every organ. I found this out in a very interesting congress in 2000. So what do you think, that if since 2000 they don't have it specialized for every organ? It's obvious that they do, no?
Sure.
That they have to have it specialized for every organ.
There's a bioprinter that can do that now.
Bioprinter.
Bioprinter. And what they do is the bioprinter actually will print in that specific tissue type, whether it's cartilage, skin, the same type of tissue that makes up blood vessels, for example. And it can actually create complex systems that way. So recently they bioprinted an ear, and they actually stitched it back on. Blood flowed through it, and it was fine. So now
about surgery, they are very, capable, and about replacements of hips and that, because that's what they want us to be. They are very advanced, but. When they have the stem cells already specialized for the liver, they just inject it to the liver and they take care of the cancer. So that is solution. But how are they going to charge so much money for your own stem cells? So they don't know how to move into and help the person recognize the cause, the emotional trauma that is inside the body, in the tissue, that remains memory of everything that happened inside creases and cysts inside the tissue of the body. And one relieves it with the hands and the memory comes out. So we can actually help the person find the cause of all illness, of all imbalances, and that will totally erase all physical imbalances, plus the psychological together. It will definitely not come back, because once we recognize it from the emotional side, it takes time until it enters into the physical body to heal completely. So both are in our hands for conscious people. This is the most spiritual techniques. It's done with the hands, almost not touching, feeling the cranial pulse of the cerebrospinal fluid. That is the first pulse that exists before we are born, and the last one in living when we die. And it connects the psyche with the body. It's the treatment for the cranium and the only treatment for the central nervous system. Then about electromagnetic biotechnology, we have a lot, totally new, like what we are doing. I don't know how much you see it now, because it has a luminescence in the point and a shimmering type of quality of light that is
kind of a graininess,
impossible to record, not photograph. Okay, you just see that it's
bizarre
lit.
in itself.
But it's a shimmering, it's a light that is like alive. This the only thing I can describe it.
Yeah.
So, but we have the smaller ones for public, which is like this. And that's the point is really strong. This is green, and this has a quartz, and then inside it has a coin of that special crystal that is more phase conjugator. And phase conjugation is a new concept of physics that brings the cells back to a past coherent condition. It's Tesla technology, and there are videos in the website to understand it. We have like a few of these. We have 4. Of those two. So these are all the instruments, the smaller ones for general public. They have to learn to use it. The colors mean things. The colors help. It's a magenta color. It's two lasers that join in the center.
In the case of the axis, you have two different frequencies.
Okay, well,
That's interferometry going on. What's happening is that when the two waves come together, they pass through each other, and when they go into destructive interference, they turn into longitudinal waves. Those are matter waves. When they continue to pass through, and then the two amplitudes add energy. So it's going back and forth between matter mode and energy mode. So matter, energy, billions of times per second. So that's how it hooks in. That's the mechanism. So, for example, we have a part of a biophoton output is in longitudinal wave. Part of it's transverse. The really, really weak part is in the transverse. But there's a stronger part that we're emitting, about 5 watts worth per body, and that's in the longitudinal mode.
so we also match the laser milliwatts to what can be go. But we are looking into the differences of healing that will be the magnetic plasma to that the plasmas we're going to be using is hydrogen, so it will cohere or connect to all the fluids in the body, and we will be using nitrogen, so it will connect and cohere with all the oxygen levels and all the interchange of air inside the body. Can get to you this information. We hope it's the right time because it's very new. I understand it's very new, but it's the right time because this is instruments for self-healing. And for us to have it at home and not need any more pills because inflammation, we have a lot of things more to, actually we've been doing this, with this type, we have been working since 2007, and with this one with less time, but they say that we are going slowly into a full chrysalis or a whole body regeneration. So these are these first steps to get there, and some of them are going to be like this one, going to be for clinics or more professionals because the magnetic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're happy that we can get to you this information. We hope it's the right time because it's very new. I understand it's very new, but it's the right time because this is instruments for self-healing. And for us to have it at home and not need any more pills because inflammation, we have a lot of things more to, actually we've been doing this, with this type, we have been working since 2007, and with this one with less time, but they say that we are going slowly into a full chrysalis or a whole body regeneration. So these are these first steps to get there, and some of them are going to be like this one, going to be for clinics or more professionals because the magnetic plasma has high frequencies and that this is the future of medicine. Thank you for that part. The same as we have now some scanners with sound and light and lasers that can scan every little piece of your skin directly online, so directly in real time, and you can see everything moving inside the body, because they can actually be looking at it inside the body with total resolution. And they're much cheaper than the big scans, MIR scans and all of those.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with that? So the problem is always economy. It's like science and technology that can be disruptive. to disrupt the economy. And that's what we are fighting with. And in reality, we have everything. We have everything invented. We are very creative. What do you say about that?
Yeah, another thing is about scanning. There's something called Raman IR spectroscopy. And in the infrared, I mean, we're radiating all this information constantly. So in Raman spectroscopy, you can actually find out through differentiating the pattern, what drugs someone's taking, what disease states they may have, what toxins are building up, everything. I mean, everything, all that information is radiating out constantly. So we have one channel in the visible spectrum, another channel in the infrared, another channel in the radio frequency. So we've got all these different channels showing that we're radiating information constantly. So it's
Radiating out.
radiating out, which
And
you
they
can pick
up,
Right, yeah.
and it has all the information.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even sound, I mean, with the
Voice,
right.
Okay, so I'm a voice analysis specialist, and if we get a frequency that is already very high in your voice, you're going to get sick, but sick in a very, very different way than
specific
than
way.
they know, because it's physical and psychological too. So microorganisms is genetic manipulation, which is something very, very dangerous if we don't correct the where we're going. And we have to know that we have to get involved in science and in deciding the technology that is allowed or not. So far, nobody has been able to say this is allowed, this is not. There has to be consensus by all of us which genetic manipulations and which of this technology that's what's coming is really dangerous, and we have to be involved. It's a spiritual evolution, it's a spiritual goal, it's a spiritual duty, health.